Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today on Kaynes Technology India Limited.
Kaynes Technology.
Yeah, they're making some big moves in the tech world right now. We've got a bunch of stuff to go through today. We've got the earnings call transcripts, some news articles about their expansion, and a couple of analyst reports.
Okay.
A whole treasure trove of information on this company, and some of the numbers that jumped out at me preparing for this. We're talking a 59% jump in revenue, new factories popping up.
Right.
And a goal of hitting that R's 3,000 crore revenue mark.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, their Q2 performance this fiscal year is really something to look at. I mean, 59% increase in revenue.
Wow.
EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization shot up by 68%. And their profit after tax, PAT, is up 86%.
Wow, those are some serious wins.
Those aren't just numbers. They're signs of a company that's on a serious growth trajectory.
Okay, so you're speaking my language now.
Yeah.
Those are some big wins. But what does it really mean for their future? Are they just kind of riding a temporary wave, or is this the start of something much bigger?
Well, I think one thing that points to sustained growth is their order book. Right now, it's sitting at RAS 54,228 million.
Okay.
Which is a pretty strong indicator of future revenue, you know?
Yeah.
So it gives us a little bit of a glimpse into where they're headed. And when you consider that with their expansion plans...
oh, yeah. They're not just sitting back relaxing.
No.
Tell me more about these expansion plans. What's got you so intrigued?
Well, they're making some strategic moves, that's for sure. I mean, they just launched this new smart meter factory in Telangana. Talk about tapping into a booming market.
For sure.
And they're also building an OSAT factory in Gujarat.
OSAT factory. I'm going to be honest. That went over my head.
Okay.
Break that down for me. What's the significance of this OSAT factory?
OSAT stands for Outsourced Semiconductor Assembly and Test. So essentially, they're getting into the business of putting together those tiny chips that power everything these days. And with the global demand for semiconductors just skyrocketing, you know, Kaynes is positioning themselves to be a major player, not just in India, but on the world stage as well. And they're aiming for 20% of their revenue to come from exports by fiscal year 26. And this factory plays a big role in that.
Okay, so they're thinking big, going global.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about their performance in India. I mean, their first half of fiscal year 25 saw a 64% year-over-year revenue increase. I mean, that's a pretty impressive consistency.
It is.
What's fueling that growth?
Well, a lot of it comes down to focusing on the right business segments.
Okay.
You know, they've got a finger in a lot of different pies, you know, the industrial sector, IoT, aerospace, all sectors that are experiencing a surge in demand.
Yeah.
Plus their strategic acquisitions, you know, bringing Iskraemeco on board has really given them a boost, especially in that smart meter market.
Right. And they're aiming high, right?
Yeah.
They've set some pretty ambitious revenue and margin targets for fiscal year 25. Do those seem realistic given what we've seen so far?
They're aiming for 3,000 crore in revenue and an EBITDA margin exceeding 15%.
Wow.
Ambitious. Definitely.
Yeah.
Impossible. Not necessarily.
Okay.
They've got some pretty exciting initiatives in the works. You know, this HDI PCB manufacturing. High density interconnect printed circuit board, to be exact.
Okay.
Which is expected to start generating revenue from Q4 of fiscal year 26 onwards.
Ooh, cliffhanger.
And that's not all.
All right, you got me hooked.
Yeah.
What else is working in their favor here? What are the tailwinds pushing Kaynes forward?
Well, think about it. You know, the government is pushing really hard for import substitution.
Yeah.
Making things in India rather than relying on imports. That's a huge opportunity for companies like Kaynes. And the overall growth of the domestic electronics sector in India.
Right.
You know, as demand for electronics grows.
Yeah.
So does the demand for Kaynes products and services. They're in the right place at the right time, riding a wave of positive trends.
So they've got the financials, they've got the expansion plans, the strategic acquisitions, and they're perfectly positioned to capitalize on these major market shifts.
Yeah.
But it can't all be sunshine and roses, right? There have to be some challenges lurking somewhere.
You're absolutely right. No success story is without its hurdles.
Right.
The question is, how will Kaynes navigate those challenges and turn potential roadblocks into stepping stones?
Okay.
That's something that we're going to dive into a little later in our deep dive.
All right. You've officially piqued my curiosity. That's getting good. So before we get into the challenges, let's take a closer look at those booming business segments that are driving Kaynes' growth. Where should we start?
Well, let's rewind a little bit to that smart meter factory that they just opened in Telangana. The Indian government is pushing really hard for smart grids, and Kaynes is right there on the front lines. In fact, they secured a deal to manufacture somewhere between 40 and 50 million smart meters.
Wow. That's a whole lot of smart meters. It sounds like they're going all in on this smart energy revolution. But you mentioned they're involved in other sectors too, industrial IoT, even aerospace.
Yeah.
What's driving their growth in those areas?
Well, in the industrial sector, think about all those factories and manufacturing plants that are, becoming more automated, more efficient. Kaynes is providing the brains behind those operations, the solutions for process control, all that cool stuff.
Okay.
As for IoT, the Internet of Things, they're developing the connected devices that are becoming more and more a part of our daily lives.
Right.
Those smart home gadgets, wearable tech. Kaynes has a hand in making those a reality.
So they're not just building for the future. They're kind of weaving themselves into the fabric of our connected lives.
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling to think about how many different aspects of our world they're touching. And what about aerospace? I mean, that's a whole other level of technology.
Absolutely. We're talking components for satellites, launch vehicles, even aircraft. I mean, it's a high-stakes, high-tech sector.
Yeah.
And Kaynes' presence there really speaks volumes about their capabilities. They're reaching for the stars, literally.
Okay, color me impressed. It's like they've assembled this diversified portfolio of innovation, carefully choosing these high-growth sectors and riding those waves of opportunity. But remember those challenges we talked about.
Yeah.
That potential resistance to smart meters and that slowdown in the automotive sector.
Right.
How concerned should we be about those?
It's smart to be aware of the potential bumps in the road, but I wouldn't hit the panic button just yet.
Okay.
When it comes to smart meters, there's some resistance, mostly due to concerns about cost and data privacy. But Kaynes can get ahead of that by educating consumers, highlighting the benefits of smart meters. Things like lower energy bills, a more efficient grid.
Okay.
It's about turning those concerns into opportunities for engagement.
So it's a communication challenge as much as anything else. Turn those hesitant customers
exactly
into informed advocates makes sense. What about the automotive slowdown, specifically in the electric vehicle market? Could that put a dent in Kaynes' growth plans?
Well, the electric vehicle market is definitely going through some growing pains right now.
Yeah.
Fluctuating demand, supply chain hiccups.
Right.
It's a bit of a roller coaster, but the long-term outlook for EVs is still incredibly positive.
Okay.
I mean, think about it, government incentives, growing environmental awareness.
Right.
These factors aren't going away.
So it's a temporary blip, not a full-blown crisis. And Kaynes isn't putting all their eggs in the EV basket, right?
Exactly. They're also supplying components for traditional combustion engine vehicles.
Right.
So they're not completely at the mercy of the EV market's ups and downs.
Okay.
It's all about balance and diversification.
Smart moves. Speaking of smart moves, let's talk about that ambitious revenue target of ours, 3,000 crore, and the EBITDA margin goal of over 15% for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
What are their chances of hitting those targets? What needs to happen for them to pull it off?
Well, their strong first half performance definitely suggests they're on the right track.
Okay.
They've got that hefty order book, strategic acquisitions, bolstering their capabilities. And they're really laser focused on those high growth sectors that we discussed, plus those new initiatives like the HDI PCB manufacturing are expected to start contributing to revenue soon.
Okay.
So it's a combination of solid groundwork and well-calculated risks.
So they're not just hoping for the best. They're actively building their own success. It's inspiring to see that level of dedication and strategic thinking. But even with the best laid plans, external factors can throw a wrench in the works.
Right.
What are some of the things outside of Kaynes' control that could affect their ability to reach those goals?
That's a great question. The global economic landscape is a big one. If there's a major downturn, it could affect demand for Kaynes' products and services, potentially slowing down their growth. It's a reminder that even the most successful companies are interconnected with the wider world.
Right, they're not operating in a bubble. What other external factors should we be keeping an eye on?
Geopolitical stability is another big one.
Okay.
We live in unpredictable times, and conflicts can erupt, unexpectedly disrupting those intricate global supply chains, creating a lot of uncertainty for businesses. Remember Kaynes' ambitious export goals.
Right.
Those could be affected if things get shaky on the geopolitical front.
So they're navigating not just the world of technology, but the complexities of global politics as well. It's a delicate balancing act. Anything else we should add to our list of external factors to watch?
Absolutely. The rapid pace of technological advancements is a double-edged sword.
Okay.
On the one hand, it creates opportunities,
Right.
but it also means companies need to be constantly innovating and adapting to stay ahead of the curve. If Kaynes falls behind in the tech race, it could impact their market share and growth prospects.
It's like they're running a marathon where the finish line keeps moving.
Exactly.
They need to constantly push themselves to stay ahead of the pack. So we've got global economic conditions, geopolitical stability, and the ever-evolving technological landscape all playing a role in shaping Kaynes' journey. It's a complex and dynamic environment, wouldn't you say?
It certainly is, but that's what makes analyzing a company like Kaynes so fascinating. We can't predict the future, but by understanding these interconnected forces, we can get a glimpse into the potential challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
It's like piecing together a puzzle with each piece representing a different factor that could influence Kaynes' success.
Yeah.
The more pieces we have, the clearer the picture becomes.
Yeah.
But even with all the pieces in place, there's always an element of surprise, right?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it all. Operating in a dynamic, ever-changing world means there's always something new to learn, something unexpected to navigate.
Keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Kaynes' impressive financials, their diverse business segments, the tailwinds and potential headwinds they face, and those all-important external factors that could shape their destiny. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't explored yet.
Yeah.
Their competition.
That's right. To fully understand Kaynes' position, we need to look at who they're up against. You know, who are the other players in these industries, and how does Kaynes stack up? That's what we'll uncover in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, time to put on our detective hats and investigate the world of Kaynes' competitors.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. The plot thickens. Okay. We're back for the final part of our Kaynes Technology deep dive. We've gone over their financials, their strategic moves.
Right.
Even some of those global forces that could impact things. But, you know, no company operates in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Who are they up against? Who are the rivals in this tech arena?
Well, you know, it's important to remember that Kaynes isn't just playing in one sandbox. You know, they're spread across multiple sectors. So their competition changes depending on, you know, which area we're looking at.
Right.
For example, in the smart meter space, they're going head to head with companies like Genus Power Infrastructures and HPL Electric and Power.
So it's not just one big bad wolf, but a whole pack of competitors, each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
How does Kaynes stand out in this crowd? What's their secret weapon?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is their end-to-end manufacturing capability. So they can handle everything from design and development to production and assembly, all under one roof. It's like a one-stop shop for all your tech needs.
Okay.
This gives them a lot of control over quality and timelines, which is a major plus in a competitive market.
It's like having a master chef who can source the ingredients, prepare the meal, and even plate it beautifully.
Exactly.
All in their own kitchen. Talk about streamlined efficiency. Mm-hmm. What else gives Kaynes an edge?
Well, those strategic acquisitions we talked about earlier have really bolstered their position. Bringing Iskra into the fold, for instance, gave them a huge boost in the smart meter market.
Right.
You know, so they're not just growing organically, they're strategically adding expertise and market share through smart acquisitions.
It's like leveling up in a video game, gaining new skills and powers along the way.
What about that OSAT factory they're building? How does that factor into the competitive landscape?
Well, that OSAT factory is a game changer.
Okay.
Puts them right in the heart of the global semiconductor supply chain. Remember, this is a high-growth, high-demand market.
Right.
So by establishing a presence in this space, Kaynes is grabbing a seat at the table with the big players.
It's like they're throwing their hat into the ring, ready to rumble with the best of the best. But it's not all about factories and acquisitions, right? What about the people behind the technology? How does Kaynes nurture innovation and talent within their ranks? Yeah, they know that their people are their greatest asset, you know? They've cultivated a culture of innovation and collaboration where employees are encouraged to think outside the box, come up with those creative solutions. And they also invest heavily in training and development programs, making sure their workforce has the skills and knowledge to stay ahead of the curve.
It's like creating a fertile garden where brilliant minds can blossom and grow.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic, every company has its weaknesses.
Right.
What are some areas where Kaynes could stumble or face challenges?
Managing rapid growth effectively is a challenge for any company.
Sure.
As Kaynes expands into new markets and scales up production, they need to make sure their systems and processes can keep pace. Otherwise, you risk encountering bottlenecks or compromising on quality.
Right. It's like building a bigger engine for a race car.
Exactly.
You need to make sure all the other parts can handle the increased power. Any other potential weaknesses that we should be aware of?
Another challenge is staying ahead in the research and development game. The tech world moves at lightning speed.
For sure.
So Kaynes needs to constantly innovate, push boundaries, come up with those groundbreaking solutions.
Yeah.
If they fall behind in that R&D race, they risk becoming yesterday's news.
Right. It's a constant race against obsolescence.
Yeah.
A battle to stay relevant in a world that's always craving the next big thing. So we've covered Kaynes' competitive landscape, their strengths, potential weaknesses, the challenges they face. What's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Kaynes Technology is a company on the move. They've got impressive growth, a diverse portfolio, and a really clear vision for the future. While they do face challenges like any ambitious company, their strategic approach, focus on innovation.
Yeah.
Commitment to their people, all that sets them up for continued success.
It's inspiring to see an Indian company making waves in the global tech scene. They're a true testament to the power of innovation, strategic thinking, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. So there you have it. We've journeyed deep into the world of Kaynes Technology, explored their financials, their growth strategies, their competitive landscape, and so much more. This is really just the beginning of their story. And I, for one, am excited to see what they achieve next. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.